Hi, guys, and welcome to another episode of FPL Chats. My name is Josh, and today I'm going to be talking through what happened in game week 12, any lessons that have been learned, and yeah, what's to come in game week 13. So let's get into it. So for game week 12, I'll quickly run you through how I did. So far, it's been a really good game week. So 59 points, and yeah, I ended up taking a -8 to get 11 players. It was a very last minute kind of transfer decision. I brought in Robertson, who only scored 1 point. I brought in Almiron, who scored 10 points, and I brought in Anderson, who scored 2 points. So 13 points from those transfers in. All of the players I transferred out were not playing. Um, so 13 points transferred in and -8, so 5 points profit, which, yeah, so it was worth it in the end. Um, my mainstay in goal, David Raya, he's performed really well the last two game weeks, so yeah, really happy with 10 points from him. Nico Williams, coming off my bench, my reserve option, and getting a clean sheet at Brighton somehow. Brighton, who I thought looked yeah, out of ideas really, and quite poor with finishing. I chose to captain Trippier this game week because there was no standout option to me, and I didn't have Salah. Otherwise, I probably would have captained Salah. So I thought Trippier looked good for a clean sheet against Everton. And then, yeah, Almiron was my star of the game week. Um, it was, as I said, a very last minute transfer, and something I think I got a bit lucky with it. I chose him because I thought Newcastle and Almiron individually have been on good form, and they have reasonably good fixtures coming up. So I thought I'd take a punt on Almiron. He's also a very cheap option. I think he's 5.2 million, which I was going for him because I thought I would be able to get Saka in the next game week. So yeah, it was a kind of to afford someone option, but also he was on good form, so maybe not so lucky, but yeah, it worked out in the end anyway. Edward got me 5 points, and the rest have blanked. Sinistera is still to play. He's up against Leicester away. I think, yeah, Leeds have looked good from an attacking sense, although they haven't scored in the last two games. Um, and then Leicester have improved defensively recently as well, but it's tough to call that game. I don't really know what's going to happen. So yeah, overall, so my old rank was 2 million, and my new rank is 1.5 million. Yeah, so happy with the game week so far. So let's move on now to what lessons have been learned and what's to come. So from this game week, I yeah, watched a bit of the Liverpool West Ham game, and Salah's position when Darwin and Firmino are playing is usually going to be on the right wing. So that means he's taken up less central positions, which ultimately means he's further away from the goal. It's not to say he can't score when he's out there, but yeah, it does seem like he'll be providing assists maybe more than goals when he's playing in that position. And Darwin has scored in the last few games he's played, so yeah, I'm and also Diaz is out injured, so Diaz and Jota, so that means Darwin's probably going to play, and uh, Firmino's on good form as well, so he's probably going to play, meaning Salah probably will start on the right wing more often. I was a bit worried before going into this game week without Salah. Obviously, he scored that goal against Man City, which, yeah, and the hat trick against Rangers, so it kind of made me think he was back on form. He did have a couple of chances in the West Ham game, but West Ham defended reasonably well. Darwin pretty much stole the show, if I'm honest with you. He looked very dangerous, shooting from everywhere. Yeah, so he's in my thoughts for the future transfers. Brighton are terrible, so yeah. Apologies to any Brighton fans. I always seem to be ripping into them. But yeah, as in I watched the entire Brighton and Nottingham Forest game. I had Trossard in my team, and yeah, it was a really really tough watch. I've got to be honest. Um, Nottingham Forest did defend pretty well, but yeah, Brighton looked like they were lacking in ideas, lacking in confidence. Um, they haven't won under their new manager yet, and you would have thought that would have been the game to do it. They do seem to perform better away from home than at home, so perhaps they can get something before the World Cup. But their next two fixtures are Man City and Chelsea. Um, and yeah, I mean, they've done it against Liverpool, they've done it against big clubs before, Brighton, but after Man City losing against Liverpool, they'll be looking to bounce back, and Brighton just don't seem to have found their form yet with this new manager. Other than that first game against Liverpool, which was unbelievable. So yeah, I don't want any spoilers, but I've transferred out Trossard this game week coming up. So the next thing I've learned is that you can't trust Chelsea's team selections. Graham Potter always likes to mix it up, rotate a lot. He did similar with Brighton, but not to this extent. He's really changed the Chelsea first 11 a lot. A good friend of mine, my housemate, he brought in three Chelsea players, and yeah, only one of them started. So yeah, it's not looking good to bring in any Chelsea players currently. I would suggest, unless you've got a really good feeling, a really kind of strong idea of who Potter's going to select. Yeah, I would generally stay clear. I think that Mount and Kepa are probably the most reliable Chelsea players at the moment. So for game week 13, what's to come? So Arsenal and Man City options are back. So obviously they had the blank game week, and now they should be in everybody's thinking. They are the two best teams in the league for form. I know City lost, but yeah, you'd fully expect them to come back. And yeah, they will be firing on all cylinders against Brighton. I think that could be a big score actually. Um, so yeah, if you transferred out some of your Arsenal, Man City players for that blank game week, I would be considering to get them back in. I I've come to know that Martinelli is out of tonight's PSV game. So he picked up a minor calf injury in training, and he's also a bit ill. They play against Southampton this weekend. I presume I think it's a Sunday game, so maybe he'll have time to come back. But yeah, Martinelli's a little bit of a doubt. Saka, fantastic option, really good form at the moment. Would definitely consider Saka. Uh, and then you've got Cancelo, Akanji. I think that Man City will be good for a clean sheet this week. So if you're looking to really make the most of this game week, and also Man City's fixtures are looking good in the upcoming game weeks too. So I think Man City defenders shouldn't be overlooked at all. The only problem is we can only have three players of any team, and we want Man City attackers as well, right? So Foden and Haaland, I think are the two best options at their price points. De Bruyne is also a very good option. He could haul in any game week. He's been very consistent with points. But when comparing to Foden, Foden is 4 million cheaper. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to argue against Foden. And not forgetting the Arsenal defenders as well. They've got games up against Southampton and Notts Forest. So I think that Arsenal, at least one Arsenal defender could be a good shout for this game week. Newcastle feel good factor. So yeah, I watched the Newcastle Everton game. Whenever Newcastle play at home, they seem to be really like in a good spirits, and the fans are just expectant now. The players know that as well, and I think that the players really are quite connected to the fans in Newcastle, so they don't want to disappoint them. I think Bruno started the game a bit. What's the word? I don't know. He was just a little bit off it. He gave away the ball a few times. Bruno Guimaraes, and then he took a shot with his left foot, and it went way over the bar, and he you could noticed he was like apologising to the fans and to his teammates. And then from that point onwards, he just kind of took the game. Really, he grew into it much more. He was just it was like he was playing for the club, and it's a great watch at the moment. Newcastle, they got over that game against Everton, which Everton defend well, but they still managed to score a good goal. And Almiron looks on fire as well. Just confidence seems to be seeping through the whole club. Newcastle's next fixture is Spurs away, which is a tough fixture for any team. Um, and it's a really tough one to call, actually. I think that Newcastle, obviously, they went away to Man United and they got a draw 0-0. Perhaps Man United should have won that game, but they didn't, and Newcastle hung in there. Whereas Spurs, they didn't. They lost to Man United last night, very convincingly lost. Um, but yes, are Spurs going to bounce back against Newcastle? That's the question. It's again really tough one to call. I think that a manager like Conte really will find that defeat to Man United difficult to accept. And he knows a lot more work needs to go into this Spurs team if they're going to challenge for anything this season. So, Newcastle home fixture, you would expect Spurs to go all guns blazing for this game. And Newcastle are a good counter-attacking team themselves. They will also play with intensity. So I can see goals in this game. I think it could be like a 2-1 to Spurs, maybe a 2-2. Spurs do seem to defend better at home. I mean, against Man United, they defended woefully. It could have been 4 or 5-0 to Manchester United. So, yeah, tough one to call, but it sets up for a good weekend of football. Finally, just moving on to my game week 13 transfer plans. So I've already transferred out Trossard for Saka. So I did this early on because I had the exact money left in the bank. So to avoid any price rises or declines, which I think Saka's going to get a price rise, and possibly Trossard a price decline. I'd made the transfer early, just hoping that Saka stays fit and healthy. And yeah, I'm also considering another -8. So yeah, as in you might think I'm a bit mad, but I have a really good feeling about Darwin this week. I think that he seems to score in every game he plays, and it does seem to be that main goal threat for Liverpool. So I'd like to get Darwin in. The only thing is I can't afford him unless I sell Son. So I could sell other players, but I think Son, for the price he's at, and just that he's not been performing as well as I would have hoped. He was very vacant in that Manchester United game. Man United played very well, but yeah, Son was vacant. He does play much better at home, and that's what's making this decision very difficult for me. So, I mean, Son is, if Spurs are going to score against Newcastle, you would expect it to be Son and Kane in that home fixture. I'm considering transferring out Son, and it would be for Anthony. It would have been Martinelli, but because he's got a bit of doubt for this weekend, I'm considering Anthony now. Anthony's looked very good, and he seems to be quite fixture proof. He's playing with a bit of confidence. I thought he was unlucky not to get anything against Spurs. Maybe he's a bit of a differential. Darwin is probably a differential as well, actually. So it would be Darwin out for Edward, and Anthony out for Son. That's what I'm considering. If you have any opinions on what I've said in this video, if you would generally just like to chat about football or be a guest on this channel, then I'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button. It goes a long way to helping me get more views, and so Thanks very much, guys. Take care, and I will see you soon.